Here's another important video from the Personal Defense Network.
Let's take a look at medium length stick tactics. So what we're talking about here is something that is somewhere between typically 12 and about 36 inches in length, but more importantly what it is something that you can wield effectively with one hand. Once you get to the point that it's so long that it requires two hands to swing it, we're getting into the longer range stuff. The medium length stick is one of the most versatile sticks that you're going to have as far as personal defense goes. We understand the basics of how to employ the angles, but let's really look at the focus of how to develop some power with the stick. So we've got our reference stance. We're going to chamber for an angle 1. There's two different ways to strike with a stick. First one is to strike and retract. This would involve hitting a target and then not being able to follow through. Because of the length of the weapon, I can't drag it through the target to get to the other side. So I'm actually going to strike and draw back. The other way to strike is to strike and follow through. When you're practicing solo, that's the one you really want to focus on. Being able to follow through, dump all the energy into the target and really hit with some power. It also teaches you how to manage the motion of the stick should you miss your strike and have to recover from it. So for an angle 1, we'll look first of all at the idea of going from right shoulder to left hip. I'd be swinging through, and when I swing, what I do is I let the stick wrap around toward the back of my body. If I try to stop it too abruptly, it's going to put a lot of tension on my wrist. It also may blow out of my grip, and I'll lose my grip on the weapon. I want to be able to swing through and let it naturally point toward the back. So there's an angle 1 diagonal. I can also swing horizontally with an angle 1, coming across this way, and vertically. Now vertically, what I need to be careful of on this is not striking myself in the shin. As silly as it may seem, it happens all the time under stress. So the idea of swinging down and letting the energy of the stick dump into the ground, pointing straight downward at the end of the arc to swing down this way. This gives us a full range of angles in zone 1. When it comes to angle 2, we have to chamber cross body. When we chamber cross body, leaving the point of the stick facing forward. Part of this is it becomes a shield against any type of attack coming in. It also is going to prep me so that when I strike across, I get more of a whip in the stick as I hit. Now notice that once I follow through on this, I'm letting it wrap around toward my back. This can actually come in contact with my shoulder here because, again, I want to kill the momentum of the stick when it comes back here, get it back into a guard position. I don't want to put myself in a position where I might lose the grip. Similarly from here, a downward diagonal. Now notice on the diagonal, when I swing through, I actually let it wrap around on this side. I ride that momentum around, get the stick pointed back toward the bad guy. So there's your angle 2 strikes. You can strike almost vertically with an angle 2, but it's a little bit more of a finesse movement. It's not something that works really well under stress, so we're not going to focus on that a whole lot. When it comes to angle 3, beautiful target for this is striking toward your opponent's knees or shins. So what we're looking at is chambering starting at the right hip, swinging across. And again, notice that I let it wrap around my hip here, and then I'll drag it back into a guard position. This also becomes my starting position for an angle 4. Low backhand coming across. And what you'll notice on the angle 4, as I come across, I naturally want to bring it up high, close to my shoulder. It's hard to keep it down low because, again, it puts me into an unnatural position. Anything that doesn't feel right, you're not going to be able to do under stress. So starting here, swinging through and striking. Now these are the single-handed ways of doing this. Now I said that primarily with a medium length stick you're going to swing single-handed. Doesn't mean that you have to have two hands on the weapon, but what I can do is amp up my strikes by adding my second hand, adding my live hand into the equation. The way I do that is by placing my hand onto my own wrist. So now I'm swinging with the full power of both arms, even though I'm wielding the stick technically with only one hand. So in angle 1, I'll be coming into my guard position here, amping this up, and swinging through. What's nice about this is it also puts me in a position to where I can immediately recover. So let's say I swing through on the angle 1, I have control over the stick at the end of that arc, and I'm immediately chambered to come back and strike angle 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Same thing with 3 and 4. Be chambering down here to start, swing through on the 3, swing through on the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Adding the power of the entire body into the swing by simply adding your other hand with this grip on the wrist. Now when it comes to thrusting with a medium length stick, trying to thrust or poke with the end of something this long, you're not really going to have a whole lot of accuracy. It's very difficult to do that. It's very difficult to do under stress. However, doing that with two hands, either gripping with a thumbless grip or a thumb grip, either way, driving straight in with the point here or here, it's a very, very powerful strike. Driving straight in up high or down low. You can also switch your foot position on this because you're putting the left hand forward, thrusting here, thrusting here. I can also do the same thing with the other end of the stick. Let's say that I struck angle 1, I come through here. I can come back and strike with this end. You want to explore all the potential of the stick. Make sure that no matter what angle you end up with, whatever position you end up in, that you can come back with something very effective, be able to strike and combine your strikes very naturally. Final type of thrusting we do with the stick is actually thrusting with the center of the stick. This would be driving straight forward, driving with both hands. It's a very short range technique, but if someone gets in close to you, you have to drive them off of you. You have to clear his hands or something against a grab, being able to strike with both hands, and then come back to a position where you can use the stick at a greater length. It's a good way to go. So this is the basic striking angles that we would use as far as the medium length stick and how to do that with a little bit of power.
Check out more videos just like this one at the Personal Defense Network.